Hey, Julian, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's all good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Am I getting you from Mexico? I can't tell where you are.
I'm currently stuck in Mexico,
You're
basically.
currently stuck in Mexico. You've been there
Yeah.
since March or February?
No, so I came here in late August with my girlfriend where I was like, yeah, let's go to Mexico. It'll be fun. And I had just gotten my visa, my work visa, like issued to me. And it was a letter saying like, okay, yeah, you can go in and out of America. And I Googled and it all said that it was fine for me to travel. And I was maybe a little naive because I basically came here. We had a really nice trip, a week and a half. I got to the airport to go back to New York, and they were just like, yeah, you're not getting on the plane. You need to have the visa stamped in your passport now. It's an executive order that just got like basically put in place. And so I had to just go through this whole visa process. So for the past 2 months, I've just been stuck here. And it's a nightmare. It's like a Kafka novel, like just to get the visa appointment, you need to have this ID, and then to get the ID, you need to have your passport renewed, and then to renew your passport, you need this. And so like it was just this horrible process. But I did the interview yesterday, and they say I got approved. So now I just have to wait till they mail me the actual visa.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. You're one of those people that's just really, really hard to classify. The influences are all over the place. When we listen to Patience, it goes into Spanish at one point in the middle. You can dance. Most singers can't dance, let's be honest, especially when they've rock influences. Was the goal all along to be this all over the place kind of artist? Or did you actually start in punk rock and then somehow you got pushed along to this?
I think I did start with like punk rock because I had a band and I had that, the angsty teenager emotions where I just needed to pour it out. And so rock was the most, appealing of all the genres that I could kind of throw myself into. But I think for me, I've always enjoyed the idea of finding a sound and having a sound. And that was something I was very adamant about when I was probably like 15 in my late teens. Like I was like, oh yeah, I want to figure out who I am as a musician. And the more that I try to push into a certain sound or a certain like genre or style, the more I found that since my own influences are so just kind of like sporadic and random, and since I pull from so many different places, it was impossible for me. It was genuinely like I would sit down and try to be like, okay, let's try and make something that sounds sonically coherent. But I'd end up being like, no, I want to have, a song that's a lot more electronic and in an 80s synth pop inspired like ballad. And then the other song I want it to be this, just plain acoustic traditional singer songwriter song. So I have all these different like, musical ideas that I gravitate towards, and it's honestly a hindrance that they're so different, because that's something that constantly comes up with my music. It's like I'm very like almost just like I make my music for myself more than anyone, and so it could be perceived as a little bit cocky, but I really do just make the music that I want to hear, and that I always just think what's a great song that I would like to hear, and I try to make that music for myself. And since I just love so many different musical genres, it's naturally I'm sporadic in my style. And I think in the long run it'll be great. I think all incredible artists are constantly reinventing themselves, and when you look at Bowie's catalog or even Kanye or Daft Punk, you see in every record an evolution. And I hope that in the future, I'm kind of at the start of my career, but I hope that in the future you can definitely thread that narrative along my music that shows that I was just having fun and trying to explore constantly.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the band called Refused? It's totally normal if you haven't.
No, I genuinely haven't.
Okay, a Swedish hardcore band, and after they kind of broke up and influenced all these bands, the singer went more in a garage punk direction, then he went in a kind of a 60s pop direction. He evolved, and people didn't realize that he could dance outright. And it comes back to the dancing. Were you trained in dancing, or you have no shame and smile?
I don't know. It's so funny. I've never actually spoken about my dancing, but I think for me, no, I wasn't trained. I've never really thought of myself as a great dancer. Like I just kind of, especially when it comes to like doing music videos where I'm moving along with the song, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's dancing, because I'm very, free. And I of course it is dancing, but it's more for me, it's like movement attached to sound that like I can be very jumpy and definitely not clean the way that I move to my music. Like for Patience, for example, for the video, I had nothing written down of what I was going to do, what I was going to move. I think I had one move where I'm like crossing my legs and unfolding them, but everything else was just, okay, get in the room, play the music as loud as you can, and just shoot and just follow me. And hopefully what I do is like in time. But for the most part, I think dancing just, I don't know, it's always just been around for me. I don't work out. So I'm not really the most, physically fit individual when it comes to like actually, having stamina. And so dance has just always been the funnest physical activity for me to do, because I just, so it's the only part where I can really let loose when I'm moving. And if it's a song that I like, it's, it's quite natural, the movements. But no, dance, I wish I could take some lessons and actually hone it and become, a great dancer, but it's never, it's just something that I happen to do in addition to the music. So.
Okay. Goals again, no better way to put that. The music industry is obviously changed over and over and over again. Like if we talk about the Beatles, songs like She Loves You and Can't Buy Me Love weren't on an album. They were just a single. And then of course everything became an album, and everything that was a single was on an album. And then nowadays I'm seeing great artists like yourself where the single comes out and you don't know, like, is an album coming or whatever. Is Patience part of an album or an EP?
It is. I wish that I could actually like alter myself and try to, just make singles and throw them out and see how it is and see if it works. But for me, I'm always just writing music with the outcome being the record. And so I can't really just write a one-off song and release it. Like everything that I kind of release is a way for me to indicate to my audience or to people that I'm building up towards something, and this is going to be maybe the new sound that you're going to hear. So for Patience, it's a largely electronic song. It's a very minimal techno tune, because it's really just 4-to-the-floor kick and one very simple melodic ostinato. That just then I was like, okay, how can I just build this and just write it out and see where I can take this, instead of being, I'm very dramatic and cinematic with my music because I enjoy it, like cutting to like nothing and then hit a big explosion of sound. And for Patience, it was kind of this practice in minimalism and restricting myself from that. And that's what this record will be. So to answer the question, Patience is definitely a little nod to the sound of my second album that I've been working on.
So the album's not done, but it's written entirely?
Yeah, it's pretty much, it's like almost there. I would say I'm about 85% done with the record. Right now I'm mixing. So since I've been in Mexico, I've been working a lot like remotely with my sound engineer who's mixing it. But the whole thing's written and produced, and it's really cool. It's definitely different and ambitious, but it's, I'm excited. I'm going to put it out probably in the first half of next year. But right now, this year has been such a whirlwind. So I've just kind of been like, okay, if people really aren't, begging for new music right now, I'm going to wait. I'm going to make sure that it's perfect, and then I'll release it. It's a very electronic album, electronic and hip hop inspired, more so than my first record.
And you mentioned that you're able to record remotely. What software do people use for that? I haven't heard anyone successfully doing that.
No, I'm not actually. So basically I'd finished producing all the songs and recording my vocals. And so everything was done, but now I'm just mixing the album. And so it's just going over sounds, it's going over levels and the frequencies of every single little tiny instrument. Because I'm very particular, like the mix has to be perfect for me. And so with this album being as it's like a different sound, I'm working with a new engineer. I'm making sure that it's like just tight, like, and it sounds crisp and clean. And I actually just use Zoom for that. It's horrible because the sound quality sucks. So I'm like listening on my headphones and I'm like, turn out, do you know that sound that goes, and it's impossible because if you're not in the room with a person, there's just no real way to like indicate tone or, I don't know. It's pretty hard to give directions over Zoom, but I've been trying to do that and it's working. Luckily, the guy that's mixing it is this guy, Gabriel Schumann, and he's a master. So it's been a breeze. But yeah, it's exciting. I'm glad that I can still do something, or else I'm just stuck in Mexico and I've been a little bit just in limbo,
Right. You just said something interesting though when you were talking about audio quality and all that. But Do you actually hear a song in your head before it's fleshed out, and then it's kind of a struggle to create it through instruments and notes and all that?
A lot of the time, yeah, a lot of the time the song just pops in my head and I could sing it from the beginning to the very end, and I already know, and I can see the painting that will eventually exist. And it is very frustrating to find the sounds, you know, especially when I'm kind of working without instruments, when I'm just on my laptop, because a lot of the time I find myself predicting my movements. So I use the same drum kit, or I'll use the same synth pad, and it becomes like stagnant, you know, you lose that flavor. So a lot of the time it is frustrating for me to kind of actually make the song real. But sometimes it's, you know, sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes the song will come in my head and I sit down, and within 30 minutes, the bones and, you know, the skin, everything's kind of perfect, and it just happens that way. But there are songs where I chip away at sounds and I change the synth constantly. I do mix after mix after mix, just because there's one little element that for some reason doesn't quite fit, and it's it gets to me. I'm very particular with the music behind it, you know, lyrics and yeah, my lyrics are very instinctual, and I just write, and normally whatever comes to me in that very first 10 minutes of inspiration ends up being what the song is. But when it comes to the actual music behind it, I lose my mind, just re-recording, and yeah.
The lyrics sound like that goes back to your punk roots, where you do everything in 2 or 3 takes and then that's it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I'm not obsessive, because if I was even obsessive about my voice, which I'm, you know, I've never been trained musically. I've never had, you know, real singing classes. So if I was obsessed about that, I would, again, like spend 6 months just trying to record one phrase. So I'm very much just get inside there, record it, initial emotion, have a little drink or something so I loosen up, record it, and then get it out of the way. And then, you know, that's it. Because, there's just too many instances where I would keep on revisiting things if I was obsessed about the voice. Yeah.
Makes sense to me. 2 quick questions, then you're free. And the first one is, you've been stuck in Mexico for 2 months, beyond all the other stuff. What TV shows could you recommend to somebody that's looking for a new show to get into?
Well, I mean, if you're looking for a new show, I won't recommend the shows that I've seen recently. I'll just recommend flat out, like, if you are a person that wants to consume hours and hours of television, do this, because it'll help your entire philosophy of life. I think Sopranos to me is probably, you know, it's a classic, and, you know, you get it because it's the best. And I watched Sopranos last year. I know, about 2 years ago now. And genuinely changed my life, my perspective on just what it means to be a person and what it means to be a human. So I think Sopranos would definitely be up there. True Detective season 1 is another just like incredible piece of art, just as a cohesive narrative and story. So True Detective. And then The Wire. If Sopranos will leave a void in your heart, and I think The Wire is a good transition, because it's just one of those same shows that if it wasn't for, you know, The Wire, Sopranos, modern TV wouldn't be what it is. And then a fun one just to throw in there, Flight of the Conchords, which is a really funny comedy on HBO about musicians, actually. And yeah, it's
you
great.
Just named 4 HBO shows, so I think I know what the channel is.
That's true. Yeah, I guess I'm a big HBO fan. I mean, they deliver. Like, you can always know if it's HBO, you'll be in for something good. So. But yeah, those are all good shows.
Exactly. And my closer, Julian, any last words for the kids?
Yeah, I would love to talk to the kids. I don't know. I have a hard time interacting with fans on social media. And this is actually my first spoken interview where I can, you know, articulate what I'm attempting to do with my music. And so thank you for the opportunity.
My pleasure.
And if I'm going to leave something for people, it's just to bear with me and know that I am working, and just stick around, because I'm an artist that I think it's gonna take a long time. I find a hard time interacting with the modern world and the way that, you know, musicians have to market themselves online and have to kind of like be so, at the same time as being just an artist, you got to be a social media influencer, you got to be this and that. And to me, I despise it, you know. Trying to be myself, be authentic online. I'm terrible at it. So I just want the world to bear with me. And those people that have stuck along for the ride thus far, thank you. And yeah, it's because it's just going to get bigger and bigger and better. And I'm excited to play shows one day live as well, which I was just starting to do, and then it just, the year got snatched it away from me. But we'll be back. I have faith.
Well, hope to see you live in New York when this all ends. But in the meantime, congratulations on your interview.
Cheers.
Hope you get to where you need to be very, very soon. But thanks again for all your time here, Julian.
All right. Cheers, man.
Great.
See you later.
Great day.
Bye-bye.
Paltrocast.